Alright, so we are here with Arkham Horror, the gameplay portion of our episode.
And just as an aside, I was using my examples with this is actually the card I'm playing during the game. I think I had Agnes out when I was showing you stuff. Not that big of a deal because all I was really trying to show you was skill test.
Yeah.
This deck is... So you might have seen cards that she actually couldn't have had when we were showing examples. So in case any of you like hardcore people, yes, we do know what we're doing. We were just showing... we were just trying to get points across. Yep. That's all.
Alright, so before we begin, because we're partially set up, the booze portion of our episodes, we like to try to do something thematic. And when I was looking up stuff, I saw one thing that was very fancy and needed like all kinds of stuff. And I was like, no way, that's too much for me to do. So I was like, let's get some Cthulhu themed ingredients and mix them all together and see what happens. So the first thing, can you guess what kind of liquor we got?
The Kraken! Okay, I don't know if it's Cthulhu, but it's got an octopusy thing, right? It's kind of Cthulhu-ish.
And then what is Cthulhu, Mickey?
A monster!
Monster!
Look at that monster drink.
And then, what color is Cthulhu usually?
Green!
Hey, Mountain Dew.
And then he stretched it with Mountains of Madness from H.P. Lovecraft. So Mountain is in Mountain Dew. Yeah, that's Jeb's, not me.
I think it works. And then the actual drink is...
kind of looks like... beer.
So, I think I might have put too much of the rum and monster in it. That's why it's not as green, but I don't think you'd get very bright green anyway. But anyway, that's the booze portion. I think it just tastes mostly like monster. So,
yeah. Alright,
so into the gameplay. We have started to set up the... what's the name of the scenario?
The Gathering.
The Gathering. So we have our agenda, act, the special thing, the encounter deck. We put the study into play. We put the other rooms out of play.
Everything's aside that needs to be aside.
We got our standard tokens in our bag. We've got Mickey, who is Schizo Tool. Do you want to read his stuff so they have an idea?
Yeah. Schizo Tool, my skill levels are 2 willpower, 3 intellect, 3 combat, and 4 agility. My ability is I have a free action. During my turn, I can spend 2 resources, and I can take an additional action this turn, and I can only do that once per turn. But it doesn't cost me an action to do that, because that would be stupid. And then my Elder Sign effect is a +2. And if I succeed, I gain 2 resources.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is very good. My health is 8, and my horror is 6.
And what is your profession?
I am an ex-con.
Oh, nice. Alright, I am Daisy Walker, the librarian. She has a 3-head, a 5-book, a 2-fist, and a 2-foot, which that's how I usually refer to stuff. I think Mickey gets annoyed sometimes. Anyway, she is Miskatonic as her trait, and her ability is you may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used on tome action abilities. And for that, some of her cards are tome cards that have an action, so that's how that ties together. Her Elder Sign effect is +0, but if I succeed, I get to draw a card for each tome I control. And then she has 5 health and 9... what is that called? Sanity?
Which one?
Brain?
Oh, horror.
9, okay.
Well, I mean, it might be sanity on the card, but it's horror tokens when you take them.
Alright, so those are the investigators we have. Who's going to be lead investigator?
I am!
Alright, so Mickey's lead investigator. So setting up, we each get 5 resources. So I'll put these over here. And then we get to draw 5 cards. And mulligan if we want. And I believe the book said that if you don't have assets, then you might want to mulligan.
Yeah, it did say if you don't get any assets, you might want to think about, and I think I will keep my hand.
I kind of like all of it.
And keep it.
Okay.
So we both have our starting hands, we both have our starting resources. I think I can read you the Gathering. Yep. So I guess at this point, if for some reason you didn't, I mean, We're going to... I'm going to say that there's no spoilers here, because you're going to want to watch us play. You're going to see this. This is the first scenario, start of the scenario of what comes in the core box. We're not going to get into the endings,
Right.
so we won't ruin any of that for you. We're just going to play it all the way through. We'll tell you where you would actually go in the campaign guide. So we're going to read the story so you can see how flavorful the text is.
Yeah.
If for some reason you think you've got enough and you don't want to know anything and you don't want to see how cards interact, or if you don't want to know what these story cards say, then don't watch the gameplay portion of this. I think it's a mistake. We've already done this. This will be our third time playing this, and I don't feel like it's getting boring either.
No.
So
I guess we should note whether or not we're going to try to use our knowledge of this. I'm going to try to use it as least as possible, I feel, just so that it doesn't ruin stuff for them.
Yeah, speaking of that, though, I think they did actually, like, after the second time we played, I thought it helped a little bit, but it didn't crush being able to play the game.
Yeah, still playing it.
Because there's enough random stuff that, which I actually wondered about. So I would say that it still has replayability. It's just like, we always play games, we don't go through and read any of this. Because the first time we played, we didn't know any of this. And this is why I'm giving you guys this warning. If you don't want to know any of the story or what's coming at you, don't watch this, because we're going to read the cards and the stuff that happens.
If you don't want to hear any of it, just go to our review and watch that video and make comments and like and subscribe.
Yeah, and then do all that stuff.
And watch other videos.
All right. So here we go. So it starts out with the Ghouls of Hunger, Friday, September 18th, 1925, Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now, a call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There is something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching for their progress, but I won't be holding my breath.
Oh wait, I'm not holding it.
Part 1, The Gathering. You and your partners have been investigating a strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there is something else going on. You are gathered together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. And at that point, it would tell you how to set each of the card stacks together and everything.
All right, so I guess now we need to actually read what's going on. So I believe I start with the agenda, right? It is what's going on. It is late at night. You are holed up in your study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear a strange sound of chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor.
Act 1. Trapped. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only a solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out.
And then I believe this is where the rules say to put in the study. And then the study, it says, you've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. So I'm going to put our people in.
We reveal it.
This gets revealed. And really quick, it says, the door to your study has vanished. So we are in this room that has no doors in it. but there are some clue tokens, and 4 get put on because it is 2 per investigator. So now we can begin gameplay, I believe.
And
So, round sequence, Mythos phase, we skip.
because it's round 1.
Next is investigation phase. Mickey, do you want to go first?
I think I will.
Okay.
I am going to go ahead and play a flashlight. And with the flashlight is going to cost me 2 resources. And then the flashlight has a supply, which is 3 uses. So I can use the flashlight 3 times. And as an action, I can spend 1 supply to do the investigate action, and then the location gets a -2 for this investigation.
And I guess a quick note is that when it says put whatever uses on it, some cards will actually say whether or not it has to be a certain token. Like there's some that I've seen that say put Doom tokens on the card, but if it doesn't say anything,
It's a counter.
yeah.
I'm just using those because it's bright. Hopefully I won't forget, and hopefully I won't, if I actually gathered clue tokens, I won't mess them up because I have it on the Doom token side.
Alright, so that was your first action.
My first action, and for my second action, I am going to play burglary for 1. For my last action, I'm going to use burglary. Burglary is exhaust it, do the investigate action, and if I succeed, instead of discovering clues, I gain 3 resources. So my intellect is a 3, the shroud is a 2, and I drew a +1.
Hey,
so
nice.
I'm at 4.
So he passes?
I pass, and that means all the resources I spent this turn I get back.
Well,
And that would be
it's a good way to break even.
my third action. In case you didn't catch it, played a card, did a action, flip this over to end my turn. Now Jeb goes.
Alright, the first thing for me, I'm going to pay 4 for an expensive card. Dr. Milan Christopher, Professor of Entomology. He is an ally, so he takes up my ally slot. He's Miskatonic. You get +1 book. So my book is a 5 normally, but he adds 1, so I'm at a 6. And then he has a reaction that after you successfully investigate, gain a resource. And then his stats is 1 health, 2 sanity.
Which I don't think we talked about allies when we went over not that part of the allies. So real quick, the allies, they actually have stats
At the bottom down there.
of the health and the horror. So when you have to place those, you can kind of divvy it up and put either damage or horror on your asset instead of your main character, which could come in handy if you're about to die. Just keep in mind that it works exactly the same as your guy. If they get to 0 on either of them, they're gone.
Yep.
So Jeb, I think he had a 1 and a 2, so basically that guy can't take a hit.
Yeah. Alright, so that was my first action, was to play him. My second is going to investigate in the room. So her book is a 6
Doing
against
2.
the 2.
I'm going to opt not to help. That's
I'm
a pretty
not
good
going to
stat.
add. So I got...
-4.
Wow. So
You
6
get
minus
it.
4 is 2, which ties.
Still gets it though.
So I get the clue, and then his reaction is after you successfully investigate, gain a resource. So
Really
I get
good.
a resource. And then my last action is going to be to investigate again. So let's see if I can not get something horrible. The skull. So since I got the skull, we have to...
So the skull is -X. And X is the number of ghoul enemies at your location. There aren't any enemies at the location, so ghoul is, the X is a 0 right now.
6 to the 2, I succeed, get a clue, and I get a...
Very nicely done.
So that is it for me. So I'll flip my mini card, and that's it for the investigation phase.
Okay, so we move on to the enemy phase.
Which is...
No enemies.
No enemies, so nothing happens. Now we do upkeep. So any action, or we flip our mini
Flip
cards.
the mini cards. Any exhausted cards, which I have one. My burglary card is now refreshed.
Each investigator draws a card and gains a resource.
Then we check our hand size. Neither of us are over the 8.
I'm at 5, if it matters.
And now the Mythos phase.
Mythos phase. Alright, place a Doom token on the agenda. So 1 up there. I think you guys can see that well, yep. And then next is advance it if it can. It needs a 3, it has 1, so no. And then each investigator draws a card. So Mickey is lead, so starts with him.
Oh, my favorite card. Mickey is now frozen in fear.
He hates that card so
I
much.
do hate this card so much. Revelation. Put frozen in fear into play in your threat area. Meaning, I'm engaged with it. Or, since this is a basically a status type condition, I have this right now. So I am frozen in fear. The first time that I perform one of the following actions, move, fight, or evade, each round, it costs an additional action. And then at the end of my turn, I can test my willpower against a 3, and if I succeed, I discard it.
Alright, so now I draw my card, right?
Yes.
Oh, fun! I got the Ghoul Minion. He is a 2/2/2, which is 2 attack, 2 life, 2 to evade. And he comes into play engaged with me since I was the one who drew him. So that's a thing.
Yeah, so that's not... Yay, us.
So that's it for the Mythos phase. So we go back to the investigators. So, oh yeah, and the book said you should try to role play and not tell stuff that's in your hand. I don't think.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be like, hey, I have this thing in my hand that can kill it. You can say things like, come over here, I think you can help, and stuff like that. So that you're not giving away exact, like, numerical values and stuff like that to keep it, more thematic. So, alright. Jeez, I don't know, Jeeb. Are you going to try to get away from that thing?
Yeah, I'm not feeling like a fight right now.
Alright,
my feet are itching.
If you can get away, I think I might be able to do something to him, I hope.
Okay, I can try to.
Alright, you go first.
Alright, so I am, as for my first action, since he's engaged with me, I can only do certain things. I'm not going to fight him, so I'm going to try to evade him, which I'm allowed to do without him attacking. Alright, so I think for my first action, I'm going to evade, and my feet are a 2, and he is a 2.
His agility is a 2?
I have 2 feet.
That's great, Jeb.
Alright, so I'm going to add manual dexterity, which adds 2 feet. And it says max 1 committed per skill test. If this succeeds, I get to draw a card. But I really need to evade him, right? I don't want to lose this card. It's so good. Alright, I'm going to try it. Let's go for broke. Are you able to help or not? That's your call, I guess.
Yeah, you're on your own, son.
Thanks.
Sorry.
So 4 against 2.
Ooh, he just makes it.
Barely.
That's the perfect card. So he ties it at a 2.
So
he was at a 4. He drew a -2. That put him at 2. And he had to hit that's a 2 for its evade value. So he successfully evaded it.
So the manual dexterity card says since I passed I get to draw a card. And then when I evade him, he goes back up here.
Exhausted.
And then he gets exhausted. And that's how we're going to keep exhausted people up there.
That's right.
So that was my first one. My second. So I will try to grab a clue. I have a 6 against the 2. If you recall...
there is a ghoul in play.
So it's -1. So I'm a 5 against the 2, which succeeds.
Still succeeds.
I get a clue. My ally lets me get a resource. And then as my last action, I'm going to play the Old Book of Lore. So I pay 3 for it, and it is a tome. And its action is... Well, okay, so before I do read the action, I've used my 3 actions, but her ability is I can take an additional action on my turn if it's a tome action. And since this is a tome and it has an action, I can use that as my extra one. So I'm going to do that. And what it says is, exhaust old book of lore, choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches the top 3 cards of his or her deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles the remaining cards into his or her deck. So I'm going to do that. I will exhaust it, and I'll let Mickey take the top 3 of his, keep 1, and shuffle the rest back. And I'm doing that because Mickey has not gone yet, and I feel like that's the smarter play.
Well,
so
I would just like to add that I wouldn't, in a regular game, I probably wouldn't give away this information, but Jeb just by doing that, got rid of my weakness that was on top of my deck. Well, I'm going to shuffle. It could still end up there. But it's nice to know that
I did something good.
Yes. All right, so it's my turn. So I am going to, for my first action, play an event card. I spend 2. And it says deal 2 damage to an exhausted enemy at my location. It does not have the keyword attack or anything like that. It's just an event. It's a tactic. So I can do that without using an extra action. That'll deal 2 damage to him and kill him. That gets discarded.
Oh, that reminds me, we forgot to tell them about fast.
Yes, we did.
While Mickey's looking, there are cards that have the word fast on them. I think there's another thing as well. But anything with fast on it does not cost an action to play.
I think I will, for my next one, I am going to use burglary again. And so that would be 3 against 2. Can I get the bag? Oh, it's a 1.
Failed.
So I failed, but again, it's not a horrible thing usually for the skill test unless you're going up against a monster or anything. So that was number 2. And I think for my last one, I am going to go ahead and use a flashlight click that will perform the investigate action again, except this time that's a 0 because the flashlight turns it down to.
You don't have to exhaust your flashlight.
Oh yeah, I don't know why. That's habit. Sorry.
No problem. So this is now a 0 against his.
0 against 3 against 1, still higher than 0.
Yep.
So flashlight paid off.
He gets his clue.
I get the clue. It is still our turn.
Yep.
So collectively, we can say we have 4 tokens. Do we want to
spend it or
spend it? And if you'll notice, it would be kind of dumb not to because there's nothing left in the study, and the study's connected to nothing.
Yeah.
Because our door has disappeared.
The only reason I would see not doing anything is if we wanted to like build up hand or resources.
Or if we wanted to get rid of monsters. If we wanted to sit there and try to defeat monsters. But that's risky because if it goes all the way around, if we do that and it goes all the way around, more could come out.
Yep, because something is drawn every turn.
Every mythos phase. So it's kind of.
I will say that I want to continue forward, blaze a trail through.
I would like to do that. So I will. Oh, look, we're at 4.
So we put our collective 4 on it, and then you want to read the back of it?
Sure. You notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see a door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Put into play and set aside set aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. Discard the study. Then place each investigator in the hallway. And then remove the study from the game. Why they didn't just... Oh, I'm sorry. The first one was discard each enemy in the study. My apologies. So if we have had any enemies, they would have gone away.
And I wanted to point one thing out. It's pretty cool that thematically we investigated, got clues, and we were able to figure out that the floor had dirt, and that's why we looked there. So, theme, right?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so since we did all that, it said to place us into the hallway.
Right.
And so the hallway says, a moment of panic and disorientation strikes as you land upon the floor of the hallway. The world spins as if turned on its head. Since we are in the hallway, we now flip it because it is revealed, right?
Oh, I'm not done yet. Go ahead.
All right, so the hallway, just flavor text, it says, the walls of your house are splattered with mud and your hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt path. So it has a Shroud of One. There are no clue tokens in the hallway, but it is connected to all three of these rooms. And we have attic, cellar, parlor, and I guess I can read these really quick. Attic, the smell of rotten meat assaults your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs. The cellar, the stairs leading down to your cellar are slick and they glisten with a thin layer of ice.
Hint, hint. And the parlor. The entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. Oh, it just says you can't move into it right yet.
Oh, the flavor.
I did. Oh.
You're unsure what would happen if you tried to cross the threshold of the strange barrier,
Right.
But based on its extreme heat, wink wink, you sure as hell don't want to try.
Right.
So we've got, what was that, a stinky attic,
Yep.
a cold basement,
With the icy
yeah,
path.
and then the parlor that we can't get through.
into. And that was my second action that got the clue. We stopped for a second. And
It was
did
your
that, right?
third.
Was?
So your first, or your second was...
Oh, I killed the monster first.
Yeah,
You're right.
killed the monster,
You're right.
did that.
So I thought I was fine. But at the end of my turn, it's forced. At the end of my turn, I test my willpower. If I succeed, I can get rid of this frozen in fear. So, unfortunately, it's a 2. I am going to play my On the Lamb card, which has 2 wild cards, which I'm obviously going to make willpower. So it's a 4 against a 3.
I think I kind of want to help you.
I would love for you to help me, Jeb. You're my partner.
I know. It's probably not smart for me to do it, but I really don't like you frozen in fear because that hurts a lot. So I'm going to commit my tote bag, which is my special one.
So that's
it has a
2
head
more.
And a question mark, so 2 more. So Mickey is at a 6 against the 3.
6 against
So
the
let's
3.
hope for the best.
Here it comes, people. A 2. I end up with a 2.
Wow.
And we both wasted really good cards.
Yep.
And welcome to Arkham.
It's like Lord of the Rings all over again. Alright, so...
That sucks so bad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Alright, so that's the end of his turn. So investigators are done.
Yep.
There's no enemies. So we move to the upkeep. Reset our little cards. Ready all exhausted cards. Draw a card and gain a resource. And then check hand size, which I'm good. Then we go to the Mythos phase. So put a Doom token up here. Check it. It's a 3 against the 2, so we're good. And now we draw from the encounter.
Now if you'll notice that the new requirement
yeah.
here is 6 because it's 3 and the detective.
Oh, did we read
multiplier.
that? We didn't.
Oh.
That was the...
Okay, so
one of the
we'll read
important
what we're running into now. So a glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move towards it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. And there would be my point on paying attention to the story,
Yeah.
because it'll give you clues on what you should probably do. The objective is when the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So in this case, we can't do what we just did with the clues. We both have to be back here.
And it has to be the end of the round.
Right.
And then I think... I think the way you do it is when you read the one that you cleared, you read the next one, and then you read the locations. I think that's more thematic.
It wasn't, it didn't hurt anything for you, but we should have read that first.
Alright, so drawing the card, Mickey first.
Alright, I got a treachery again. It's Dissonant Voices. It's a terror revelation. Put Dissonant Voices into play in my threat area. Just wonderful. I cannot play assets or events right now, and at the end of the round I can discard it. So now basically to do anything I'm going to have to burn 2 here and then wait that one out. Yeah.
For me, I got Rotting Remains. It's a treachery, revelation, test head, 3. For each point you fail by, take a horror. So I need to test my head, which is a 3.
Willpower.
Alright, will is 3 versus 3. And I don't think I'm going to commit anything. I don't want to burn any cards. So I got auto fail, which I guess means I take 3 horror, right?
Yep.
So I am going to put one of them on my ally,
yeah,
and
I guess.
then 2 on me.
Is that how, is it worded as auto fail means you got a 0?
I think
right?
so.
Because you can't go below
Yeah.
a 0.
So that's how I did that. Fun. Alright, so now it is our turns.
Well, I should just get my crappiness right out the way, I think.
Go for it. I don't even know what you can do. That doesn't let you...
Well,
or,
only because of his abilities can I actually pull stuff off. Because remember, that's only the first one.
yeah.
Then I can spend 2 to take another action.
Right.
So I actually can manipulate a little bit.
What does the Dissonant Voices prevent you from doing?
No assets or events.
Oh,
So I can't play cards, really.
But I guess you could...
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 actions to go ahead and move into the cellar. You don't want me to move into the cellar?
Do you want to consult? Do you want to talk about this?
I can talk about it. We're in the same room. We can.
You're really good at burglaring stuff. Maybe you want to try that, since the shroud in the hallway is only a 1. I don't know. It's your call.
You just want me to stand up there and do nothing for you, Joe?
No, I'm just saying. Can you fit a burgle in before you move?
I could.
But I mean, that's totally up to you. I just feel like 1 is pretty low, and if you're burning 2 resources on your ability.
But well, that's true.
It's just my thought.
Alright, I'll do what Jeb said. So I'll investigate.
I mean, I'm just a lady reading books all day, so...
You are a lady. He's a dude that looks like a lady. Alright, so it's 3 against 1, and I pull...
-1, nice.
So, I succeed. Burglary is exhausted. I get 3. I have a decent amount of resources. Now, I will spend 2 actions to go ahead and move to the cellar. Once I move to the cellar, it gets revealed. Jeb can do the honors there.
Cellar. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. Your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills you to the core. It has a 4 shroud, and it gets 4 tokens on it.
If you remember that it told you it was going to be slippery, so
yep.
To get there, you're falling down, or you're because of the ice or whatever, and taking the damage to get into the cellar. That could be okay. And then that was my last action, so that gets flipped at the end of my turn. I test for that. I'll add 1, make it even, 3 to 3, which I'm going to add my Dynamite Blast.
And I cannot help Mickey because we're in different rooms.
That's right. And Dynamite Blast, in case you're curious, is basically going to blow something up. But it's very expensive and everything in the room takes damage, so... And automatic fail for me, too.
Wow.
Wow, this is getting rough, people.
Alright, so for me, I am going to move into the same room as Mickey.
He takes a damage for falling down.
Take a damage.
That's a forced.
I didn't even see Mickey slide down those stairs, apparently. Next, I will pay 2 for a flashlight, so I can see stuff. And then for my third, I'm going to investigate using the flashlight. So, or well, I guess I should say I use the action on the flashlight. Spend 1 on it that's on it. Investigate, your location gets -2, so it's a 2.
Against his 6.
Against my 6. I do not want to help or commit anything to it. I think we're good unless I get...
You're fine.
-1.
So you're going to get a clue and a resource token, right?
Yep, I get a clue and then I get a resource from my dude. And then as my fourth extra action, because of my ability, I can use the old book of lore. And are you hurting?
I mean, I could use stuff maybe if I can find certain things, but if you need it, whatever.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in a decent spot. Not great, but...
Then I'll take it.
Alright, so I'm going to let Mickey look at... I exhaust the old book like I did before. Mickey can look at the top 3, keep 1, shovel the other 2 in.
You got rid of both of my weaknesses.
Shuffle good.
They were 1 and 3. Right, hopefully they're buried now. Jeb's gotten me out of a couple jams there.
And that was my last, so... Or my fourth.
No enemies out, so we're refreshing.
So, refresh.
Flip those over, Jeb.
Draw a card to get a resource. I hit my basic weakness. Paranoia. Revelation, discard all your resources.
That came at a pretty good time. He had spent a lot of them, so that's good.
Yeah, I only had 3, so it's not too bad. And then I forgot to mention, in the cellar, it actually says victory 1 on the bottom, so if we can get all the tokens off of that.
At the end of the game, we'll get those, yeah.
Yep. Alright, so we did the upkeep, so Mythos, and so it begins.
There we go.
Place it, and then now we check, 3 on 3. This goes off. A lapse in time. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide. Choose one. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror.
I'm going to take 1 for the team.
Thank you. And then the next agenda I should probably read. Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. And this is a 7 for it to go off.
So we got a little bit of time.
And then...
But it goes fast.
We draw cards.
And Mickey, get it.
Before you...
It's not the end of the round yet, is it? Oh, yeah, we're at the Mythos phase.
That should be gone.
Yeah, this is gone. That's not victory point 1, is it?
Nope.
Too bad. Alright, I got another treachery. Crypt Chill. Reveal. I test my willpower of 4, of which I have 2. If you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. If you cannot, take 2 damage instead. There's absolutely no way I can beat this thing straight up. Because even if I pull a plus, I will only be at a 3. And so I'm really not going to... I'm not even going to attempt. So, if you don't understand my logic there, I have to test against a 4. I only have a 2. I actually know what the setup was in the bag. I know... I mean, I could get... I might as well test it, because if I get the Elder Sign, I'll pass. That's the only way that I can pass this, is with the Elder Sign, because it gives me a +2.
That's 1 out of 16. That's his odds. And
I should have just not tested. I don't think you can not test, though.
Alright, the tome is what, -2?
2, and if there's a ghoul enemy at your location, take 1 damage.
Nope.
There is no enemies, not yet anyways. So I failed, so I have to discard and choose an asset you control or take 2 damage if I can't. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, those are both good assets.
But I figure even, well, it gives a -2. I feel like getting those resources could really pay off, though. I just don't know what to do. I'm going to keep my resource guy in because I know that I have another flashlight in my deck and hope I pull it.
That sounds good. And plus, I should probably be investigating.
You should
more.
be. That's the other reasoning behind that.
Alright, so this went off.
Yep, that went off. That's gone.
Hey, guess what I drew? The Icy Ghoul.
Yeah.
Humanoid monster ghoul spawn in the cellar. It is a 3/4/4. And guess where it's spawning?
In the cellar.
With us. And since I'm the one who pulled it, it spawns, or it engages me.
Right. And if you didn't catch that in the rule, when Jeb read that, it does have a particular spawn spot, but we both happen to be there already, so it's spawning in the same place. Jeb drew it, so he's engaging with it.
It's like the game knows how to screw us over.
Yeah, it really does. Holy crap.
Inside
3/4/4?
Yep. It's worth a victory point. It does 2 damage and 1, what is it called? Terror, right? Or brain, whatever. Doom. No, not Doom. Is it?
What are you talking about?
What is the blue thing? I can't...
Horror.
Horror. Yeah, that's what it does. Inside the tunnels beneath the house, a massive beast tears its way out of the ice. It is covered in a thick layer of frost, its breath visible in the bitter cold. So that's what we're fighting, or well, that's what we got to deal with. And I believe Mickey... Oh, no, we haven't entered... Now we're in the investigation phase, so I don't know if Mickey wants to go first or not.